In 2025, it will be the 80th anniversary of the end of the Second World War. And the BBC is aiming to collect as many first-hand stories of the war as possible to preserve veterans' accounts for future generations.
Well, veterans like Bernard Morgan, who was the youngest RAF sergeant to storm the beaches of Normandy during the D-Day landings. John Maguire has been to meet him.
Almost 80 years since he stormed the beaches on D-Day, and Bernard Morgan not only still has the battle dress he wore that day, it still fits him. As a young sergeant in the RAF, he was a code and cipher operative, translating secret orders, and was ashore in Normandy as part of a small signals team. The sheer scale of the Allied invasion was overwhelming.
And I was the youngest RAF sergeant on the unit, and I had to man a Bren gun on the deck of this landing ship tank for 2 hours for any low-flying aircraft. Luckily none came, and I tell the truth, I was frightened to death.
Bernard was to witness scenes that day that would stay with him for the rest of his life.
When we landed, it was sad to see all of the dead soldiers lying on the beach. The first time I'd ever seen a dead person. But sadly, they jumped out of the landing craft, they dropped in the water, it was so deep, all the equipment they were carrying weighed them down and they were drowned. Very sad, that. Of course, whilst we were there, the enemy were coming over with low-flying aircraft. So what we did, we jumped in a ditch at the side. When they gone, we got out. And there were blankets in this ditch. We lifted the blankets up, dead humans there.
He's been back to Normandy for anniversaries and memorials, always thinking of the men in his team who died.
I've been back to France many times, to Normandy with my daughter, and I always go to the graves where the 3 wireless ops are buried. And, you know, I like to think that local youngsters today remember the sailors, soldiers, airmen and civilians who gave their lives for the freedom that we enjoy today. Well, that's a route through.
His memory is phenomenal, helped by the diaries and mementos he kept, including this, A Soldier's Guide to the French.
Oh, this is good. Bernard, women. French women, both young and old, are far from shy. And you will, if you are a man of sense, make them your friends. But do not mistake friendship for willingness to give you their favours.
And among his extraordinary collection, a message sent to troops announcing the end of the war in Europe. Bernard received the order 2 days before he was allowed to pass it on.
All hostilities on 2nd Army Front ceases at 0800 hours tomorrow, May the 5th. So you knew for 2 days the war was over before you could...
Yeah, we didn't tell anybody.
Wow. And what did you think when you read that for the first time I heard it?
Yeah, we thought it was great.
Yeah.
You know, we could tell we were going to win, you know, before we got that, really. It was nice to get the confirmation.
And he believes it's so important at this time of year to mark Remembrance Day.
When you were in the service, you thought you were doing your little bit towards helping the war win. But unfortunately, it's not worked out right. We're still at wars now. And, you know, when this war, our World War II finished, we were hoping that would be the end of wars. But it's not.
He wears his service medals with such great pride, and he says, for those friends left behind so long ago. John Maguire, BBC News, Crewe.
What a story.
Amazing.
Really incredible to hear that story and all of these different first-hand accounts, and the whole point of this website is to hear them and to preserve them for future generations. And so if you or anyone that you know served during World War II, please send us your stories. The idea, as we said, to collect as many of those first-hand accounts as possible to make sure that that service and that sacrifice, like Bernard's, won't be forgotten. So email us, bbcbreakfast@bbc.co.uk. There's a special website being set up. It's called We Were There. You can log on, have a look at that, share stories and help build that database, that record of those amazing first-hand accounts of that work that went on, that service. And some really harrowing stories, but also some really uplifting ones. To be able to have that in one place will be incredible. So yeah, do check that out if you or anyone you know was involved.